Welcome to a new season, the same cast, different day podcast. I'm your host, Martel. I hope you all enjoyed that new entrance for the podcast. So thank you all for tuning in. And I also want to say thank you to everyone who streamed the podcast while the podcast was away on hiatus. And I just said podcast a lot, but that's okay. So what I want to get into on returning back to the podcast is actually some of the highlights of things that was going on while the podcast was away on hiatus, and one of the things that happened, it is no specific order. I can never pronounce that word right. No order really, no countdown really of how these events happen. It's just random events that had posted on the podcast Facebook page while we were away, and one of those things was a woman in Texas in a Texas bank was arrested for refusing to wear a mask. Now I saw the video, and if you, for those of you who've been living under a rock, if you don't know, in Texas, they have this thing where turn it. They have this thing where, um, basically you don't have to wear a mask. They don't do not have a mask mandate in Texas, and for whatever reason, I don't know why. There's just some Republican rubbish that's going on there. But yeah, there's no mask mandate in Texas, and so this woman I guess she felt like she can go into any public business, and what should I say? Because if I can hear myself better. Oh, there we go. She feels like if she can go into any like private business that's privately owned, basically, and if they have a basically a sign or thing posted saying, "Hey, you need to wear a mask," basically you need to wear a mask, or mask required. You need to wear a mask while going into these places. But she felt like being an entitled woman that she felt like she is, she didn't have to wear a mask, and it was against her rights and all these other kind of things. And I actually watched the video of her getting arrested, and it's pretty hilarious, lady. Like, you really went to jail and risking it just for a ticket and going to jail just because you didn't want to wear a mask. And it's so important for people to wear masks. It just stops the spread of the virus, for one, and other people with weak immune system who are out and about trying to take care of their business from getting sick also. But one of the things that bother me about people wearing masks, I was at work the other day, and there was this lady who was, I can see it in her face that she was so upset uh, about this man. He basically came in, and how can I put it? He came in, and I guess he was like coughing and stuff, and like coughing and sneezing, and he wasn't exactly 6 feet away from her. And I could just see how angry she was in her face that he was in there coughing and sneezing, and he wasn't exactly 6 feet away. But at the same time, you seem upset with this man, but then you don't even have your mask on properly. Like, your mask is supposed to go over your nose. It's not supposed to sit under your nose. I'm getting so sick of people thinking like, oh, it's just okay if I just wear the mask under my nose. Like, no, you need to put it under your nose. I mean, over your nose. And and the people who actually take off the mask to sneeze, like, the whole point of the mask is so that when you do sneeze and cough, which is how the virus is pretty much spreaded, when stuff goes from flying, like snot or phlegm or spit, whatever is in your mouth goes and nose goes flying, it can go, go off in the air, and basically somebody can walk through that. And now they had the virus. So yeah, people just wear the mask properly. Just stop being buttholes and wear the mask properly. There was a judge here in Milwaukee who was arrested on child porn charges. I guess he. I only wanted to talk briefly about this. I feel like, why are you watching child porn? And then you're an adult, and I believe he was actually doing this at work too. So you just an idiot. Moving along. Um, a man was shot outside of a Pennsylvania prison shortly after being released, and I was like, that has to be the worst luck ever. And I'm not sure if it was gang related or not. Apparently, this happened in Blanche County. Oh no, Commissioner. Oh, that's the commissioner person. I am so sorry. I'm trying to figure out where this happened at in Philadelphia. Um, it just says in Philadelphia for some reason, But Ronnie Hargrove, 20, was released from Karen Formhold Correctional Facility. I probably pronounced it all wrong. In Holmesburg after there we go. In Holmesburg after posting bail around 1 a.m. Thursday, Philadelphia Department of Prison Correction Blanche Connery said, "I am so bad at pronouncing people's names." Homegrown was incarcerated for less than a week on theft and weapon charges. According to the officials, he had a no affiliation, and did not have. I said, oh boy, yeah, I said that right. No, and did not have any incidents while incarcerated. Officials drove Hangrove to a nearby SEPTA stop. I don't even know what that is. Where he arranged for a ride from a family member. While waiting, Hangrove was chased by an unknown vehicle and ran back onto prison grounds. The car followed Hangrove onto the campus through a raised gate. The 20-year-old was shot several times in the upper body and pronounced dead shortly after police arrived, according to Philadelphia Police Chief Inspector Scott Small. Prison guards did not see the shooting, and no cameras are pointing where the gunfire. It's always a camera pointing, so not a camera somewhere pointing somewhere where they need to have a camera pointing at. That is just a mess. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm trying to get used to being back on here. Sorry if the is that better? Okay. Yeah, that's just a sad situation. Um, so yeah, if y'all have any thoughts on that, let me know. I'm not on Twitter anymore. Y'all know my whole spiel about Twitter. So if you want to have any response to that, you can find me on Facebook, Martel Roland. So one of the other things that happened while we were away, Sharon Osbourne is not returning to the talk due to racial comments that she apparently was displaying when her and Cheryl Underwood was having that discussion about Meghan Markle on the show, and basically Sharon came off as a racist pretty much, and now she's not returning to the talk, which is, and a lot of people, I guess apparently after this story had broke about about the outrage about this, basically, former co-host was actually complaining about Sharon talking about how basically her views, how she would explain her views of things and come off as racist. And I guess apparently there has been situations in the past about this, and they finally caught up to her, and now she's not returning to the talk. Poor Sharon. um. So if you didn't know, Bobby Brown's son died last year. Bobby Brown Jr. died from a double combo of alcohol and cocaine and fentanyl. Ooh, he was under a lot of stuff. So yeah, if you now you know how Bobby Brown passed away. um, what else is there? What else did we miss, y'all? Oh, a Nike company was suing Lil Nas X for making Lil Nas X Satan shoes. I have yet to see this video that everybody was talking about with Lil Nas X. I have not seen it yet. Maybe I should. I'm gonna watch it, and then hopefully on the next episode, I'll be watched it by then, and I can talk about the music video, or man, Marcus will be on I believe the next episode, so he'll be able to give me the scoop on the whole Little Nas X situation. Um, yeah, so it was just we just gonna leave it at that. Pfizer said that their COVID vaccines are 100% effective against in children ages 12 to 15. Um, hmm. Okay. So I'm getting so many people. I'm still hearing people having so many mixed emotions about the vaccine. I have had both of my doses, the Pfizer vaccine doses, and I had no reactions. Like just typical. Like after I get the flu shot, my arm hurt a little bit. Other than that, I didn't have no reactions. No, I felt like I was sick. I had the virus, and this, and that happened. None of that happened. So people, please do everybody a favor. Go out, get vaccinated. Do your part. We still have some work to do to get back to normal. So make sure y'all do that. Um, I need to stop saying this is what happened. I'm trying to read off my phone of the stuff that's going on. So the MLB moved the 2021 All Star Game from Atlanta. I forgot what they said they were moving it to, or have moved it to. So the whole story behind that, the whole story behind that is Republicans are putting up laws or passing laws to basically find ways to suppress votes, and that's exactly what they're doing. They're trying to find ways to suppress people from voting, and one of those ways they are doing that was one was um, cutting down the early voting, like as early normally you can vote, like I believe start like a month or so before the actual election day. So I heard they cut that down, and in some states, I believe they had signed a law, but basically, you cannot, basically, you got to be, if you are able to go out and vote in person, you have to go vote in person. So basically, if you one of those people who like, I just don't want to go vote in person, I just want to mail in my ballot. In some states, they changed it where you cannot, where you cannot do that, and you have to go vote in person if you are a basically an able-bodied person and can get up and go vote. You got to go vote in person, which is one of the ways they're trying to once again suppress people from voting. And once again, I have spoken with some Republicans and who people who vote Republican, I should say, and they're looking at it like on the reason they're trying to figure out like how Joe Biden won this previous election, should I say the Republican Party, by actual, people who are making these laws to try to change them. And they try to feel like, oh, or people were, sending in ballots, or they voted more than once, or, they were dead. They used dead people names to vote. That was totally not the case whatsoever. A lot of people who originally voted for Donald Trump, believe the 2014 election, 2016, whenever the last that election happened, I believe 2016. A lot of those people who voted for Donald Trump changed their minds and voted for Joe Biden, and that's how Joe Biden became the next president of the United States. A lot of people, Trump lost a lot of votes due to his stupidness over the last 4 years and being a complete idiot. And this is when I go back to when I say like I think that people need to come from a government background or have held some type of government position in order to run for president of the United States. Like, I believe that you should be a governor, I mean, like a mayor, governor, a councilman, alderman. You should have went through all those proper channels and held those positions in order to be able to run for president, in my personal opinion. And that's how it had to be for me, and that's how I think it should be. You need to have some type of government background in order to run for president, and that's just what I believe in, what we should continue to do. And come whenever the next election is, I believe it's 2024 probably, when we do this whole presidency, up for grabs again. Donald Trump should not be allowed to run for president. And once again, I will say it again, I have no problem with a Republican president. I can accept a Republican president. Only thing I couldn't accept is that we basically had a celebrity as president for the last 4 years. Other than that, if anybody else would have run for presidency under the Republican Party and won, I would have been like, oh, okay, well, that's our president, and moved on and accepted it. And not like how some of these Republicans is, and like, nope, no, Joe Biden is like, at the end of the day, Joe Biden has political background. And I don't care what people say about him. He has a political background. I voted for him. And that's that. Um, what else had happened? Oh, Prince Phillips died. Prince Phillips and DMX died on the same day. I don't know too much about Prince Phillips, so I'm not going to talk much on him. I didn't, to be honest, I didn't even know that him and Queen Elizabeth was actually banging. Ooh, that's not the proper time. I shouldn't have said that. But anyway, yeah, I didn't know. Yeah, I just didn't know about them too. Like, I just thought that he was just somebody that just lingered around. Um, but yeah, he had passed away. I didn't know that he was the Harry and Peter, whatever his name is, grandfather. I didn't know. But anyways, DMX had passed away. It was reported that it was, some people are saying that it was a drug overdose. It was in the hospital for, I believe, a week or so before he became. They said that he had little brain activity, and he was on life support. And then on April 9th, he passed away at the age of 50. Now, I remember, I remember waking up in the morning and they'd be playing like, I don't see. I don't know if kids remember this. It used to be like music video like shows that came on in the morning. It wouldn't have a host. It would just play music videos, and y'all gonna make me lose my, like, stuff like that, and all some of his earlier stuff before that. It was just a lot of. Didn't know they play. I grew up on DMX, and like I was in elementary school, but yeah. But I grew up on DMX, and it was just so crazy to hear that he had passed away. But one of the things I find interesting, uh, I had saw this on Facebook. Somebody was like, "Y'all, I have never had heard so much DMX music played in my life. Like, y'all ain't played no DMX music in the last, 10 years, 10 to 15 years. Now DMX dead. Now y'all just wearing out DMX." I was like, I just find that so funny that somebody made that statement. Like, because when you think about it, like, when somebody's driving down you hear somebody driving down the street blasting music, like, you never heard a DMX song in the last, probably, at least where I live at, in the last 10 years, of somebody driving down the street blasting like DMX like that, unless they somebody like older who was born in like the 90s or the 80s who was. But like these people who's born like early 2000s, like 90s, who's out driving now doing, they don't play DMX. But now all of a sudden they all want to play DMX. But yeah. Um. So one last thing before I go, I wanted to talk about is this whole Dante Wright situation. So a lot of people probably won't like what I'm going to say, but oh well. Um. I don't feel like there's a need for you guys to be protesting him being killed. Um, Here locally, I know the same day he got killed, they were on the highway and they shut down the highway and all that kind of stuff. And I don't feel like that was necessary. And here's why. Bear with me. Bear with me. Now, I get that it's been a lot of black people, I shouldn't say black people, minorities, being killed innocently by police for no reason over generations. And I 100% get it. But they already was starting the process of putting him in handcuffs. And he chose to try to break away and get in the car and drive off. Now, if he would not have made that decision once he was already in the process, they had one arm pretty much handcuffed. If he would have made that decision to try to run and get in his car and drive off, he would still be alive today. And that's one of the things where people be like, "Oh, you're a traitor and whatever." I'm not a traitor. I'm just stating the obvious. I am stating the facts. A lot of y'all, a lot of these, some of these people who are shot by police and people are claiming, "Oh, it was an innocent shooting and they shouldn't have shot him." Like, you put yourself in that situation. Not saying all situations are like that. I'm not saying that at all. But there are some situations where people just literally put themselves in a situation where, hey, you was already handcuffed, just go peacefully and take whatever charge you're gonna get, because the reason why you already have this warrant out for your arrest is because you skipped court in the first place. So just take your charge, do whatever time you have to do, and move on with your life. You're young, you were young, move on with your life. But instead he chose to run from the police once they were already putting him in custody. Now, did the lady that shot him mistake her gun for a taser? Like, I heard that it can happen in the line of police. It can happen. Now, the only issue that I kind of have with that is that, once again, this is kind of where if he wouldn't put himself in a situation, he'd be alive. But then, like, the amount of time from the video they show where the gun was out, and we all can clearly see that it's not a taser, it was a gun. in that amount of time, like that, and at one point, did she bother to look down and say, "Oh my God, I got my gun in my hand"? I don't know what was going through her head at the time. I don't know if adrenaline was going, and she kept yelling, "Taser, taser, taser!" If from what you can hear in the video, and you could tell that she was surprised when the actual gunshot went off and she shot him. You could tell she was 100% surprised that that happened. And like I said, stuff happened. And I just feel at the end of the day, if he would have just went peacefully, he would have been served his time and would have been going home to his family. And that's how I feel about that situation. Anyways, I want to thank you all for tuning in to this new season of Same Cast, Different Day podcast. I'm so happy to be back for season 3 of the podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Please make sure you subscribe to the podcast. That helps out a lot. And leave us reviews on iTunes if you can. If you listen through iTunes, leave some reviews. Hopefully leave us that 5-star review. But anyways, thank you all for tuning in and supporting and, really, being a part of the podcast with me. Because every time you guys listen, you guys are part of the podcast. And if anybody who actually wants to come on the podcast, you can go, you can actually email us at scddpodcast@gmail.com to come onto the podcast. Tina started grad school, so hopefully I'll be able to fit her in for a couple of episodes this season. Hopefully we can get that going. But anyways, once again, thank you all for so much support on the podcast. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok at Martel Roland. And you can find the podcast on Twitter, Instagram at SCDD Podcast. And don't forget to follow the Podcast Facebook page on Facebook. So thank you all for tuning into this episode of Same Cast Different Day podcast. And I will see you next week.